Sometimes life breaks you, sometimes it pushes you to an edge where you feel everything is lost. In that moment, most people hesitate, hold back, or carry the burden of their past into a future that could have been free. But beginning again is not about erasing the past. It is about stepping forward with clarity, courage, and an understanding that what is done, and what comes next is yours to shape. Regret anchors the mind to what has already happened, creating chains that prevent movement and clarity. Every mistake, every wrong turn, and every lost opportunity lingers in your thoughts like a shadow pulling you backward. The more you dwell on what could have been, the less energy you have to step into what can be. To begin again, you must first release the weight of regret and allow your mind to breathe freely, unburdened by the past. Acceptance is the foundation for starting anew. When you acknowledge the choices you made and the consequences that followed, without excuses or self-blame, you reclaim your power. Life does not wait for perfect timing or flawless preparation. It demands that you stand with awareness and responsibility, using every experience, whether joyous or painful, as a stepping stone toward a wiser path. Forgiveness is an essential part of this process. Forgiving others clears the resentment that clouds your vision, while forgiving yourself removes the guilt that paralyzes action. Without forgiveness, every step forward is hindered by invisible anchors. By embracing forgiveness, you create a clean space in your heart where new decisions and fresh beginnings can emerge untainted by the failures of yesterday. Intentional action transforms beginnings into something real and meaningful. When you move forward with consciousness, you are no longer repeating the patterns of the past. Every decision becomes deliberate, every step carries purpose, and every effort builds momentum toward a life of depth and fulfillment. Beginning again without regret is not about erasing history, it is about acting with clarity, ensuring that your next chapter is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true self. Freedom from regret also comes from releasing attachment to outcomes. Life unfolds in ways beyond your control, and clinging to specific results only invites disappointment and frustration. When you focus on action over expectation, presence over fear, and growth over perfection, you begin again with a lightness of spirit. In this space, every moment is a chance to create, to explore, and to live fully, unbound by the weight of what has already passed. Every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. What seems like a failure or a closed door is actually an invitation to see the world and yourself differently. When something ends, it strips away illusions and exposes the truth that was hidden beneath comfort or habit. Each conclusion, whether chosen or imposed, is an opportunity to step into a life that is richer, more conscious, and aligned with your deeper purpose. Failures are not punishments, they are mirrors showing where your awareness has been limited. They highlight what needs attention, what patterns must be broken, and where growth is necessary. By facing failure honestly, without denial or resentment, you gain clarity that cannot be accessed through success alone. Every mistake becomes a teacher, guiding your next step with wisdom that is earned, not imagined. Beginnings born from endings require courage. To step into the unknown is to let go of what you have relied on to release comfort and familiarity. You move forward not with certainty, but with awareness, carrying the lessons of the past without letting them dictate your possibilities. Each conscious choice in this moment becomes a building block for a new trajectory, one shaped by insight rather than fear. Opportunities emerge when you allow yourself to see beyond the immediate loss or disappointment. Life offers doors even in the rubble of endings, and these doors open to dimensions of yourself that were previously hidden. The willingness to embrace change to accept what is, and to act with awareness transforms endings into gateways. Every conclusion is therefore a threshold, and every threshold invites exploration and renewal. Transformation is the result of perceiving endings as beginnings. When you internalize this perspective, the weight of past failures diminishes. You walk forward lighter, guided by clarity rather than regret, and empowered by the lessons that only endings can teach. Life ceases to be a series of losses or missed chances. It becomes a continuous evolution where each ending naturally unfolds into a deeper, richer beginning. Fear of repeating mistakes only exists when the mind is trapped in reaction rather than awareness. When you act unconsciously, every situation feels like a potential trap, and every decision is clouded by doubt. The weight of past errors shapes your thoughts and restricts your choices, keeping you from moving forward freely. Acting from awareness dissolves this fear because you engage with life intentionally, not out of reflex or avoidance. Awareness allows you to see patterns without being controlled by them. You begin to understand why certain actions led to failure, not as a punishment, but as a lesson in cause and effect. By observing your tendencies and recognizing your triggers, you gain the ability to respond consciously rather than repeating the same mistakes unconsciously. This clarity transforms fear into insight and hesitation into deliberate action. When fear is removed, courage naturally emerges. You are no longer paralyzed by what went wrong before. Because you know that the past cannot dictate your present, each step becomes a choice made from understanding, not anxiety. The mind that acts with awareness sees opportunity in every challenge, while the reactive mind sees only risk and danger. This shift allows growth to happen continuously without being hindered by old wounds. Acting with awareness also strengthens your confidence. Mistakes are no longer humiliations to avoid, but feedback to refine your approach. You learn to trust your judgment because it is rooted in observation, reflection, and conscious decision-making. Each new attempt becomes a chance to apply wisdom rather than a repetition of past error, and the fear of failure gradually loses its grip over your actions. Freedom from fear comes when awareness replaces reaction as your guiding principle. Life is no longer a series of traps to survive, but a field of possibilities to engage with fully. You begin again not because the past is erased, but because you now move with clarity, presence, and intention. In this state, every choice becomes an act of conscious creation, and mistakes are transformed from fearsome obstacles into stepping stones for growth. Life does not ask for perfection, it asks for courage. Perfection is an illusion that keeps the mind trapped in hesitation, fear, and endless comparison. Waiting for flawless conditions or a perfect moment only leads to stagnation. The world moves, circumstances change, and opportunities are lost while you search for a standard that does not exist. Courage is what allows action to begin even when everything is uncertain or imperfect. Courage is the energy that transforms hesitation into movement. It does not eliminate fear, but it enables you to step forward despite it. Each act of courage, no matter how small, breaks the hold that doubt and regret have on your mind. Courage allows you to embrace the lessons of the past without being imprisoned by them, turning experience into insight and setbacks into growth. Living with courage means making choices even when outcomes are unknown. Life is inherently unpredictable, and trying to control everything is futile. Those who wait for perfection waste energy resisting the natural flow of existence. Courage accepts uncertainty, acts consciously, and adapts to what comes, allowing new paths to emerge where fear once ruled. Perfection demands external validation, comparison, and constant approval, but courage is rooted within. It is born from awareness, self-acceptance, and commitment to presence. Courage does not wait for recognition or guarantee of success, it acts because action itself is necessary for transformation. In this way, courage becomes the force that drives beginnings even after failures or losses. To live with courage is to embrace life fully, moment by moment. You stop being bound by what should have been, what could have been, or what is missing. Every step forward becomes an expression of your strength, awareness and intention. Life does not demand perfection, it demands that you move with courage, and in that movement, true freedom and growth are found. Taking full responsibility for your choices is the first step toward true freedom. When you stop blaming circumstances, other people, or even fate for where you are, you reclaim the power that always belonged to you. Every decision you have made, whether right or wrong, has shaped your path, and owning them allows you to move forward without carrying the burden of excuses or resentment. Blame clouds the mind and distorts perception. It keeps you stuck in cycles of anger, regret and defensiveness, making it impossible to see the lessons hidden within every experience. When you release blame, you clear the fog and create space for understanding. You begin to see your role in every situation clearly, which allows you to act consciously rather than react unconsciously. Responsibility transforms regret into insight. When you accept that you played a part in every outcome, you no longer see failures as punishments, but as opportunities for growth. Each mistake becomes a guide, showing what needs attention, adjustment or courage. This awareness turns every ending into a new beginning, because you can now make choices with clarity and intention. Owning your choices also empowers you to shape the future. Once the past is fully acknowledged without excuses, your energy is no longer scattered on defending or rationalizing. It becomes available for action, creativity and conscious decision-making. You begin again with authority over your life, grounded in the understanding that change is possible only when you accept responsibility for your own actions. True freedom arises when responsibility replaces blame. You stop being a passive participant in your life and step into the role of creator. Every step you take, every decision you make is informed by awareness and accountability. In this state, beginning again is no longer frightening or uncertain, it becomes an act of strength, clarity and deliberate intention. Forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, it is an act of immense strength. Holding on to anger, resentment or grudges chains your mind and heart to the past, preventing growth and clarity. When you forgive, you break those chains yourself, freeing your energy from the weight of old wounds. Forgiveness is a gift you give first to yourself, allowing your spirit to breathe and your mind to move forward without burden. Forgiving does not mean forgetting or condoning what has happened. It means you refuse to let the pain dictate your present or your future. When you forgive, you acknowledge the reality of what occurred, take the lessons it offers, and then release the hold it has over your emotions. This conscious release transforms suffering into insight and allows you to approach life with a lighter, clearer perspective. Forgiveness toward yourself is as vital as forgiveness toward others. You may carry guilt, shame or regret for choices you made, but punishing yourself endlessly serves no purpose. Accepting your mistakes, learning from them, and then releasing the self-recrimination allows you to step into the future with confidence and courage. Without self-forgiveness, every new beginning is shackled by the past. Extending forgiveness to others does not mean trusting them again blindly, nor does it mean erasing boundaries. It simply means you choose to no longer let their actions poison your inner world. When resentment fades, clarity emerges and you can engage with life and relationships from a space of balance rather than reaction. The act of forgiveness creates a clean slate where judgment and bitterness once resided. True freedom arises when forgiveness becomes your practice. Your heart becomes lighter, your mind calmer, and your energy more vibrant. You begin again without the weight of old grievances, moving forward with awareness and presence. Forgiveness transforms endings into beginnings, pain into wisdom, and past mistakes into stepping stones for a life lived fully, consciously, and free. The past is immutable, no amount of wishing or regret can change what has already occurred. Every event, every word spoken, and every action taken is now part of your history, beyond your ability to alter. Trying to control it only wastes energy and keeps you entangled in frustration. Acceptance of the past as it is becomes the foundation for conscious movement forward, freeing the mind from the illusions of control. While the past cannot be rewritten, the future is always open to influence through conscious choices. Every decision you make, every thought you nurture, and every action you take shapes the next step in your life. Awareness in these moments transforms ordinary decisions into deliberate creations, allowing your experience to align with intention rather than reaction. Your power lies not in changing history, but in steering what comes next with clarity and purpose. Conscious action requires presence. To shape the future, you must engage fully with the present moment rather than being distracted by past failures or imagined outcomes. The mind that dwells on regrets cannot act effectively, but the mind that observes, analyzes, and chooses freely becomes a force of transformation. Each step becomes meaningful because it is informed by insight and not burdened by what cannot be undone. Every new choice builds upon the foundation of awareness. The past offers lessons, but it does not dictate limitations. By observing the consequences of previous actions without judgment, you gain the knowledge necessary to make better decisions. Your next step is no longer blind or reactive, it is a conscious continuation of growth, guided by wisdom earned through experience, rather than lost in the weight of regret. Shaping the next step consciously also demands courage and commitment. It means acting even when uncertainty looms and embracing responsibility for the outcomes. You may not control external circumstances, but you can control your engagement, focus, and intentions. In this conscious navigation, freedom emerges and life becomes a series of deliberate creations rather than an endless replay of what has already passed. Attachment to outcomes binds the mind to expectations, creating tension and disappointment even before action is complete. When every step is measured by whether it will succeed or fail, the heart loses its freedom and the mind becomes restless. This dependence on results limits creativity, clouds judgment, and keeps you trapped in a loop of fear and anticipation. Letting go of the need to control results frees both heart and mind to act with clarity and purpose. When the focus shifts from outcomes to intention, every action becomes an expression of awareness rather than a gamble for reward. You engage fully in the process, honoring each moment and each decision for what it is, not for what it might bring. This shift transforms effort into presence, and effort alone becomes its own measure of growth and fulfillment, independent of external validation. Attachment to outcomes often leads to resistance against the natural flow of life. You cling to expectations and fight against circumstances that do not match your desires, creating frustration and inner turbulence. By releasing these attachments, you align yourself with the unfolding reality rather than against it. You begin to act with adaptability and insight, responding to challenges as they are instead of as you wish them to be. Purity of intention arises when action is motivated by clarity, purpose, and presence rather than fear, desire, or expectation. You act because it is the right thing to do in the moment, because it resonates with your values and because it nurtures growth. The mind becomes steady, the heart becomes light, and each step forward carries the power of conscious creation rather than the weight of anticipation. Letting go of attachment does not diminish responsibility or effort, it enhances both. Actions taken with pure intention are more powerful, resilient, and aligned with the truth of who you are. When the focus is on conscious engagement rather than the outcome, beginnings become authentic, courageous, and unburdened. Freedom arises naturally, and each new step carries clarity, strength, and the fullness of presence. Self-reflection before action sharpens the mind and strengthens the heart. When you pause to observe your thoughts, emotions, and intentions, you create a space where clarity can emerge. Acting without reflection often repeats the patterns of the past, driven by habit, fear, or impulse. Reflection allows you to understand what motivates you, what holds you back, and what is truly necessary for the path ahead. Awareness gained through self-reflection transforms experience into wisdom. By examining your previous choices and their consequences, you uncover the lessons that life has quietly offered. These lessons become tools for conscious decision-making, guiding each step with insight rather than blind repetition. Reflection turns mistakes into teachers, helping you move forward with precision and understanding. Self-reflection also strengthens emotional resilience. When you confront your fears, doubts, and insecurities honestly, they lose their power over your actions. You no longer react impulsively or allow old patterns to dictate your behavior. The mind becomes steady, the heart becomes courageous, and every choice is grounded in self-knowledge rather than external pressure or fleeting impulses. Reflection allows alignment between intention and action. When you act after careful consideration, your decisions reflect your values, your goals, and your understanding of reality. You no longer drift through life reacting to circumstances. You engage with purpose, making each step deliberate and meaningful. Every action becomes a conscious extension of your inner clarity. Consistent self-reflection before action ensures that beginnings are not shallow or hasty but rooted in awareness. Each new step is wiser, stronger, and more aligned with your true self. Reflection transforms ordinary actions into powerful choices, allowing you to create a life that grows from experience, learning, and conscious engagement rather than from repetition and regret. Every new beginning carries the weight of creation within it. It is not an escape from the past, nor a denial of what has happened. To begin again is to step into the unknown with full awareness, taking all that you have learned, all that you have endured, and using it as the raw material for something greater. Each choice, each action, each intention becomes a deliberate act of creation, shaping the life you wish to live rather than repeating what has already been. Beginning again demands courage because it requires facing uncertainty with an open heart. You leave behind the familiar, even if it is flawed or painful, and step toward what is unknown. The mind resists this leap because it fears loss, discomfort, and failure. Yet the strength of creation lies not in avoiding risk, but in embracing it fully, knowing that every step forward builds the foundation for a life that is conscious, deliberate, and alive. To begin again without regret is to embrace life with an open heart and a steady mind. You do not carry the chains of yesterday. You walk forward with clarity, courage, and presence. Every step you take becomes a conscious creation, every choice a reflection of your wisdom. When you truly begin again without regret, you are not just surviving, you are fully alive, fully free, and fully yourself.